In the city of New York, as the golden sunrise crept slowly between the towering skyscrapers and over the busy streets, Emily walked along the pavement, holding a book close to her chest. It was a novel about love, the kind that transcends time and distance, but deep in her heart, she longed for something real. She wasn't looking for a fairy tale. She was searching for a love that felt true, raw, and alive. The door of the Manhattan Public Library suddenly swung open, and a young man stepped in. His name was Michael, a handsome guy from California, with eyes that carried both excitement and a touch of shyness. He had come to New York to study urban culture and photography, but the moment his gaze met Emily's, everything else disappeared. It felt as if time had stopped. Their first meeting was brief, a small exchange of smiles, a shy sorry as they bumped into each other by the library shelves. But something about that moment stayed in both their hearts. Michael noticed how Emily's eyes lit up when she talked about books. Emily noticed how Michael's laugh sounded like warmth on a cold day. Days turned into weeks, and they began to meet more often. Sometimes by coincidence, sometimes by choice. They talked about everything: dreams, books, movies, the meaning of happiness, and the fear of losing it. Emily showed him her favorite parts of the city: Central Park in the early morning, the small cafe on Fifth Avenue that made the best cappuccino, the art gallery that few people visited but she loved for its quiet beauty. Michael made her laugh more than she had in years. She made him feel like he had finally found home. Their connection grew deeper with every shared secret, every glance that said more than words ever could. But love, as they soon learned, was not a smooth path. Some of Emily's friends warned her that Michael might not stay long, that he would eventually go back to California and forget about her. Some of Michael's relatives thought it was foolish to fall in love so fast, in a city full of distractions. Yet, despite the doubts surrounding them, Emily and Michael held on to each other. They learned that love wasn't about promises made in comfort, but about choices made in difficulty. One weekend, they decided to escape the chaos of the city and take a trip to Long Island. The beach was quiet, the wind soft, the sound of waves calm and endless. Walking side by side, Michael stopped and looked at Emily with a gentle smile. "My heart belongs to you," he said softly. "You're the one I want to share my life with." Emily looked at him, her eyes shimmering with tears and sunlight. "I feel the same," she whispered. "You're my home, Michael." They walked along the shore, talking about their future, about dreams of a small house, maybe a dog, and evenings filled with laughter instead of loneliness. It was simple, it was pure, it was love in its truest form, imperfect, uncertain, but full of hope. Then came the challenges. Michael received a new job offer in Silicon Valley, one he couldn't easily turn down. It was a chance to build his career, but it meant leaving New York and Emily. They spent long nights talking, crying, and holding each other close, wondering if distance would break them. But distance didn't break them. It taught them. They learned that love is not about being together every day, but about trusting that the bond will survive the silence between phone calls and the miles between hearts. They sent each other letters, small gifts, and voice messages that kept their hearts alive. Emily visited him whenever she could, and every time they met, it felt like falling in love all over again. Years passed. They faced fights, misunderstandings, and lonely nights. There were moments when both of them thought it was over, that maybe love wasn't enough, but every time they tried to walk away, something pulled them back. The memories, the laughter, the feeling of peace when they were together, it was all too strong to let go. Eventually, Michael returned to New York. He found a job there, and together, they bought a small apartment near Brooklyn Heights, with large windows that caught the morning light. They filled the place with books, plants, and photographs of the places they had been together. Their home wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. built on years of trust, pain, forgiveness, and love. Every anniversary, they returned to the library where they first met. They would sit on the same bench, holding hands, smiling at how far they'd come. "Do you ever regret anything?" Emily once asked. Michael smiled. "Only that I didn't meet you sooner." Their story became one of the quiet legends among their friends, a love that survived distance, time, and fear. They weren't rich, they weren't famous, but they had something rare, a love that endured. When they eventually married, it wasn't in a grand church or a fancy hall. It was a small ceremony in Central Park, surrounded by the people who had seen their journey. Emily wore a simple white dress. Michael wore a navy suit. As they exchanged vows, the wind carried their words through the trees. "I promise to stay when things get hard. I promise to love you even when we change. I promise to always find my way back to you." Years later, they had children who grew up listening to their parents' story, a story that began with a chance meeting and turned into a lifetime of love. And even as they grew older, Emily and Michael never stopped walking hand in hand, never stopped finding beauty in each other's company. Sometimes, in the quiet evenings, they would sit on their balcony, watching the city lights, remembering everything they had been through. The laughter, the tears, the distance, the reunions. And Emily would lean her head on Michael's shoulder and whisper, "We made it." And he would reply softly, "Always." Their love was not perfect, but it was real, and that made it eternal.